Black folks, do y'all know that somebody has already tried to sue the government? Yeah, I get that in the comments a lot, asked a lot. Somebody has already tried to sue the government for reparations. Not once, y'all, not twice, but multiple times. And every single time, they shut it all the way down. See, back in the 90s, a woman sued the federal government for reparations, for slavery and everything else that was associated with it. Y'all know what the court said? Brace yourself. The court said that slavery didn't happen to you personally, it happened to your ancestors. Think about that. They had the nerve to say that. They acknowledged slavery was real, and they acknowledged it was brutal, and they acknowledged it built this country. But they still said, you don't get a damn thing, ma'am. Resurrect your ancestors and have them to sue the court. Then black descendants came back, this time suing the government and the corporations that literally made money off of enslaved people and continue to this very day. They went after the banks, the insurance companies, and the railroads. And the court said the same thing again. Oh, that was too long ago. The wrong folks are suing. And my favorite excuse, this is a political issue, not a legal one. So, y'all, in other words, they're saying, take it to Congress. The courts ain't gonna touch it. We don't want no parts of it. And that's why reparations never go through the courts. Because the minute the court admits responsibility, it don't stop at slavery, y'all. It go to Jim Crow, redlining, stolen land, GI Bill exclusion, mass incarcerations, broken contracts, generational theft. Oh, it's a multitude of things. And that bill would bankrupt the entire fairy tale of the system. So instead, they give us fake ass apologies. What Clinton did, no money. Plaques, history months, commissions to study, HR bills, and symbolic ass gestures that don't mean a damn thing. But they never, never give us accountability. So when people say, why don't y'all just sue the government? Baby, we have tried multiple times over and over. And they told us exactly how this country feels about black folks and black justice. But yet and still, they paid the Jews, the Japanese, and the Native Americans with the same grievances. See, if reparations had no merit, they wouldn't fight it this hard. They're scared, y'all, of us getting any financial freedom. Period. I'm Dr. O, y'all, and I'm out.
About reparations for Black Americans. I have seen some sentiment among those of us who think this nation will never give us reparations. We just need to stop talking about it. We need to throw up our hands because they're never going to give it to us. Let me tell you where I stand on that. It is my personal belief that chattel slavery is the greatest crime against humanity that has ever been committed because it was an institution designed to dehumanize another group of human beings, my ancestors. And it was designed to be an institution that would exist in perpetuity. And let's be real, a form of it in this nation still exists. It's called the school to prison pipeline. It is why, because of that crime bill, that Black Americans disproportionately are represented in the incarcerated population in this nation. And that is a form of slavery. What they have those prisoners doing, how they are stripped of their rights. So, slavery in this nation has never really gone away. But when you study our history and what our ancestors went through, how heinous it was, see, that's why I'm a big believer in the information contained in books that tell the complete and full story of what happened to us in this nation because it is a fundamental part of this nation. This nation's economic power was built on hundreds of years of enforced free labor that was extracted from our ancestors, and not just in this country. But consider every business that still exists that existed back then benefited from chattel slavery. Fortunes from royalty to wealthy families in Europe were built and enriched because of chattel slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. This nation be bullshit until A, it acknowledges the heinous crime against humanity that it committed against our ancestors, chattel slavery, and then reparations are made. And that's what white America wants. It wants us to throw up our hands and go, oh, we'll never get it. Like it's something that they are giving us as a fucking favor. No, it is a debt owed. It is justice for a crime committed. And I may not live to see it, but I do believe that generations after us may be the ones to get it. But let me tell you something. Remember, again, chattel slavery lasted for hundreds of years. I'm sure that our ancestors were told you will always be in these chains, working and dying in these plantation fields, in these factories, having those who label themselves white treat you worse than a dog. You will never be free. I'm sure that they were told that, and many people thought that. It lasted for hundreds of years. Folk were born, lived, and died, and chattel slavery was the rule of the land. Guess what? Our ancestors didn't go, oh, well, and I'm not going to either. And I know that I'm not alone in this. Black Americans are owed and will get reparations. And until that happens, the United States of America is hypocritical bullshit. Period.
Whether you like it or not, whether you believe in reparations for Black Americans or not, whether you choose to even go to the government, to the courts personally to say, oh, reparations should not be given to Black American. The truth is what must be, must be. And I feel like the reason why a lot of them, when I mean them, I mean some of these white folks that are holding back this thing they are supposed to pull out, the reason why they are passing through a lot of things they're passing through right now is as a result of the punishment of God over their life. Now, look into the life of people that are holding their mind and saying, oh, Black Americans do not need reparation. Black Americans do not. Look into their life of the high class white folks. Look into the life of the White House people that have literally decided that anytime they want to sue, they should sue. We are going to still tell them that this is not them that actually went through the slavery. They are not better than Black people. Black Americans are even doing well, are even doing better, are even Western strong. But anyways, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. With that being said, let's continue rolling out the other clips I have for you guys. I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
For me, the works of Marx and Hegel explain clearly why descendants of the victims of the transatlantic slave trade should receive reparations and should also be validated in their want for reparations. One of the earliest and basic concepts explains why property rights matter. And the way that it was described is that a person mixes their labor with the thing and then it becomes theirs. And the value is in the fact that the person mixed their work and their labor with that thing to produce the outcome. The enslaved people mixed their labor with everything that built up majority of the countries that we see now. That in and of itself is enough reason why reparations should be redeemed. The wealth that you see today in many of these Western countries was developed and built off of the labor of these slaves. The work was theirs. The labor was theirs. The profit is ours. In the distance, I already hear someone asking, okay, so why should the descendants of the enslaved people receive the benefits now, especially when we are not the ones who tilled the land? And to that, I ask, why do you hold so dear this concept of inheritance? Because you want your children to benefit from your labor. To think that we do not deserve the reparations of our ancestors is to have a double standard. Either relinquish inheritance or give us reparations.
They hate black joy because they don't understand it. They hate black joy because they can't police it. European Americans very well know how they treat black people in this country, and they also know how other people target black people in this country. Black joy doesn't make sense to them because they are sitting around here miserable, and they don't understand how black people are still able to have a good old time. What bothered slave owners the most back in the day was not their brutality, their beating, their mutilating, their assaulting, no. What bothered slave owners the most back then was that how can these slaves still enjoy their day? That is what bothers slave owners the most. It is written down in their diaries. They could not comprehend, well, we're hurting these people. How are they able to still enjoy life? They try to study everything about us, but black joy, they cannot comprehend it because they don't have the capacity for it. Because they spend so much time dehumanizing other people, but the moment that you do that, you give up your own humanity. It's the devil's deal. They spend most of their childhood around racism, lowbrow comments, disrespectful jokes. Their fun is surrounded by racism. Their fun is surrounded by suffrage. Nor do they have a collective community outside of bigoted behavior. So black joy doesn't make sense to them because they believe that since they have more in this country, that they should be the ones that's happy. And anybody who has less should be the ones that's actually suffering.
And I want to remind you too that had Black Americans received reparations and had we learned from the atrocities committed by the American government and plainly white Americans, okay, what is going on today would not be going on. I'm certain there would be some other drama, but the reality is, in the scenario that we receive reparations, in the scenario in which we actually learned from these atrocities, right, in the way that Germany did, let's say for example, the distribution of power and wealth in this country would look significantly different. And I'm willing to bet it probably would be a better version of America. Like that alternate universe of America in which we actually learned from what happened to Black American people, right? Even all the way up until this point, okay? Had we learned from that, this man wouldn't even be president, okay? This man was elected off of the strength of white supremacy. He's a felon. There is no possible way, okay, that the current chain of events would be happening had we handled things the right way. And when I say we, I don't mean us, I mean them. I mean y'all. That's who I'm talking about. And I think when we look at what's going on with immigrants, and specifically Black and brown immigrants, because white immigrants exist too, girl. European white immigrants also exist. They're not getting targeted, okay? When we look at what's happening with them, it is a direct show of a lack of knowledge and a lack of learning, and also the result of what happens when you keep the largest subgroup of America disenfranchised.
So everybody always trying to blame white people for slavery. What about the Africans who sold us to the Americans and to the British and the Europeans? What about the Africans? Do you want to go to Africa? Hell no, I don't want to go no goddamn Africa. Africans don't like black people. We ain't black and we ain't African. I know we're not African. Well, how many of these African countries came back over here trying to save us? If anybody owes us reparations, it's those African countries who sold us, because the white boy didn't force us to come over here. They bought us. We were purchased. If that's really true, we were purchased. So no, I don't want to go back to Africa, because Africa owes us reparations.
If segregation come back, all I gotta say is, once black people start thriving, start having businesses, start having properties, start having land, and just thriving without y'all, do not come over here destroying our shit. Don't try to burn down our cities or none of that. Don't do that. You see black people hating on other white people because they got everything in the world? No. The fuck? We will stay in our corner, build our shit up, mind our business. That's it. We just want to thrive. So if y'all see us doing good, please leave us be. Leave us be. Spare us. Just like y'all spare every other race that come over here and build up and have all these businesses. Have y'all ever been to like Duluth, Georgia? Like literally, it's Korean businesses everywhere, on every block, on every corner. And it's just like, okay, cool. Nobody's messing with their stuff. So I want that same energy when we build our stuff up like that. So once you see black businesses everywhere, do not come over here destroying our shit. Damn. Okay, if y'all don't want us in y'all shit, that's okay. All right, whatever. But once we build a life for ourselves, don't fuck it up. That's all we asking. All right? You ain't even got to see us. Like, just don't come over here destroying our shit. Baby, because black people we ain't even gonna be stunting y'all. Like, that's the thing. We ain't even gonna be worried about y'all. And black people never was worried about y'all even back when there was segregation. You know what I'm saying? The only problem that black people have with white people is that white people were racist. That's the only problem that we have with white people. We have a problem that y'all don't like us based off our skin. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I can't help that I'm fucking black. You know what I'm saying? Like, be so for real. So once we fucking thrive in this world, leave us the fuck alone. It'll be a real civil fucking war, because we ain't gonna let that shit slide. Do you know what generation you fucking with? Like, nah, we ain't gonna let that shit slide.
If you have any further doubt how racist and anti-black the United States of America is, just bring up the topic of reparations for Black Americans, individuals who are descended from enslaved Africans. And all of a sudden, you're going to get a lot of hemming and hawing. That's just not possible. That's too expensive. That was so long ago in the past. Black Americans need to move on. There you go. There are those blacks asking for a handout. Reparations must be paid by the federal government of the United States of America if this nation is to be anything other than fake bullshit. Even if this current smotsy regime is toppled, if reparations are not paid to Black Americans by the federal government and many state governments, this nation will always be bullshit, because chattel slavery is one of the foundational sins of the United States of America. And all of this other shit that gets talked about in terms of what reparations mean to Black Americans, I think is bullshit as well. I'm going to be quite frank with you. I agree with Nicole Hannah-Jones, who spearheaded the 1619 Project. In my book, reparations for Black Americans would be in the form of direct cash payments, because anything else is still the United States of America exerting control over Black people. We are grown. Pay us, period. Pay us cash money. And whatever we decide to do with it, that's our damn business. Well, Black Americans, we're going to commission a study and we're going to see, fuck that. But this government needs to do is make direct cash payments to the descendants of the enslaved. Payment for a debt that is long overdue. For the people that say, ooh, you're asking for a handout. Black people always have their handout. Fuck you. It's payment for a debt for all of the labor that we went through for hundreds of years that built this nation into the economic power that it has been. Period. If you want to talk about handouts, then you go over to all of these white farmers that are begging for the government to bail them out yet again, because somehow white farmers were supposed to be guaranteed a livelihood. Again, if you want to see anti-blackness rear its ugly head, mention reparations for Black Americans. All of these other so-called programs that they're calling reparations, that's not reparations in my book. Well, we're going to give Black people mortgage down payment assistance, and we're going to give them job search assist. That's not reparations. Reparations is you getting a check, Black American man, Black American woman, from the federal government. And we know that the federal government can print money because just 5 years ago, the global pandemic happened. And the United States federal government printed money to keep the citizens from completely going under, and everything rocked and rolled just fine. People took that assistance and they paid their bills to make sure that they had a roof over their head, a car, transportation, their health care, food, and everything else that they needed. But it was the Republicans that decided, well, people just don't want to work. And that ended that. This nation will always be bullshit until financial reparations in the form of direct cash payments are paid to Black Americans. And to the Black Americans who disagree with me, they say that it is a handout and they don't want it. Fine. Don't take it. I'll take your portion.
Anyways, welcome back, guys, and thank you so much for watching. And one thing I know for sure is whether they like it or not, what is for Black Americans will definitely come for them. Whether they like it or not, they should keep prolonging it for years after years. It will still happen. You know, the funniest part of these people is the fact that they think Black Americans do not deserve to be paid reparation. They think Black Americans should just forget about everything and move on. They think Black Americans literally do not go through those phases of slavery. Why do Black people need to now start telling them what to do? But forgetting, right? Forgetting that at the end of the day, they are the ones that do not deserve anything that is actually going on or what they are enjoying. I don't know why a lot of you guys, whenever you think about reparation, some people, right, whenever they think about reparation, you guys think that, oh, you're doing Black American favor by giving them reparation. You're not doing them a favor. Not at all. Not once, not twice that you are doing them a favor. They deserved it. They earned it. And that is actually not a charity work. Like I've explained in one of my videos. Even on that particular video, I see a lot of people dropping comments for me and telling me, oh, let's just forget about the past and move on. There is no past if we are still living in the past. If white people can still come up boldly, hit their chests, and whenever they want to do campaign, they will remember and say, oh, Black Americans have been through a lot. Black Americans built this country. Remember when the orange man was actually doing his campaign? He said it. Oh, Black Americans built this country. Black Americans actually did a lot. Black Americans actually did this. Black Americans actually did that. While at the end of the campaign, he turned back and he's saying another certain kind of thing. So if you people can remember that and see it out during any of your activities just because you want to gain Black support, you should be able to pay up. You can pay up reparation. You should forget about reparation, but you're starting a war with Iran, a war that was never your business. How much have this war taken? This war have taken billions upon billions of dollars. Just because one person wants to prove a point that, yes, he started the World War III. But whenever it comes to the Black American thing, a lot of you will just say, oh, let's forget about it. Slavery was in the past. Let's forget about it. That's bygone. Can we just move on? Can we just move on? How do we move on? That's the question. Where the past is still staring at your face. Where we still have descendants of the enslaved. Apart from that, how do we move on? When the country still feels like we are in the 90s, we are in the 80s, we are in the 70s. How do we move on? Where every single thing that Black people has built to ensure that it's going further for them. You see some of these people colonizing it, taking position, taking charge, reclassifying names east, west, north, and south. And you see slavery was in the past. You said Black Americans do not deserve reparation. To the funniest part, I even see some Black people as well who set their camera and be like, why are Black Americans talking about reparation? If you are not foundational Black Americans, probably you are just these first generation Americans in America, please, you don't have the right to even ask questions like that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.